I'm going to share something with you. Today, this very day, I got awarded my PhD. Actually, so now you can legitimately call me a doctor of criminology. I know it feels a bit weird. It's really weird for me. It really, really does. I know one of the first things I thought about was, where are the Conservative Party up to in their election, in internal elections for a new leader? So this short video is going to address that. Let's have a bit of a recap as to where they're up to at the minute. Because I was wondering, after the general election, are they going to learn anything at all regarding the direction that they lent painfully into, which was the furthest to the right that we've ever really seen the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom lean into, to such an extent that it didn't really appease the furthest to the right in the Conservative Party, with many of their, a few of their MPs and many of their core support going on to vote for Reform UK. And look, I can't see at the minute the Conservative Party coming back to the centre ground. So the Conservative Party leadership race to replace Rishi Sunak has so far, give or take, I'm not keeping up to date with it that strictly, to be fair, but it's roughly got about 6 candidates that I can identify. Kemi Badenoch, James Cleverly, Robert Jenrick, Priti Patel, Mel Stride, and Tom Tom. Let's just keep it with Tom. So these candidates are competing, to the best of my knowledge, unless any of them have dropped out. I think Sorella Braverman, I mean, we can always count our lucky stars that at least one of these individuals has decided not to throw their hat in for contention into the ring. But the rest of them, these candidates are going to be competing to become the new leader following Sunak's resignation. After the party, it was a hemorrhage really at the general election. And there's reasons why I think they're going to, these candidates, any one of them, there's a bit of a spectrum here. Some are more cretinous, I'm going to say it. Some of them are more cretinous than some of the others, but nevertheless, there is a populist right-leaning strand that goes through all of them. So regardless of whichever one of this current batch gets elected, I don't see the Conservative Party really kind of coming back into the centre ground. I think they're going to sit where they are, which is going to cost them in 5 years' time. I'm already going to call it. I think that's already, I'm not some mystic Meg. I think that's already on the cards at this stage, unless Labour really, really balls things up. But I considering what the Conservatives got away with for the last 14 years, I don't see how that's going to happen. But the main point is, I don't see the Conservatives making much gains either between now and the next general election, again, in just shy of 5 years' time. And the reason for that is, well, one, Kemi Badenoch, who, and again, I don't really know at the minute who's favourite, who's not. Badenoch's definitely a favourite. She has been touted for a long time. Had a few other MPs actually retained their seats, like Perry Mordaunt, for example. I would have expected her to have been in this race, but they didn't get re-elected. So Kemi Badenoch is, for me, definitely one of the front runners. However, she is known for her strong stance on cultural issues. And Badenoch has criticised so-called woke culture and emphasised the importance of free speech, but can be quite selective on what qualifies for the protection of free speech. She's also supported strict immigration controls and aligned herself, generally speaking, with right-leaning populist views. And again, I'm trying to keep this video very short, so I'm not going to go into it, but if you do want to look more into Kemi Badenoch, feel free to do so, but you'll see where I'm coming at with this. So she's not going to bring them back into the centre. James Cleverly, as a former Foreign and Home Secretary, Cleverly has backed tough immigration policies, including support for the Rwanda, that disastrous, and it was a disaster, it was always doomed for failure, immigration plan, which supposedly aimed to deter, although there was never any proof of that, and I don't see how it was a deterrent myself. It was aimed to deter illegal immigration by relocating those immigrants to Rwanda, and again, it was a waste of money. It was just pissed up the wall. Robert Jenrick, whilst serving as a immigration minister, he supported robust measures to control immigration, again, and advocated for policies that prioritise national security and sovereignty. You'll notice so far that none of them were talking about improving the economy, education, healthcare, none of that. Mostly immigration. It's what I always tell my students: you don't look at what they say, you look at what they do. And very little money, very little funding went towards any of the social services that actually mattered. Priti Patel, Christ, like Donald Trump, when I was talking about him yesterday, I thought we were done with her, but there she is, back again like a dose of frush. She was known for quite a few things, none of them very good, but predominantly, known for her stint as the Home Secretary. Before Braverman? I'm sure it was right before Braverman. And this is Patel, had been a staunch supporter of, again, stringent immigration policies, including the controversial Rwanda immigration plan, and took a hard line on law and order issues because, again, nothing riles the populist sentiment amongst the grassroots quite like taking that really tough law and order policy. And now, as I can say it officially, as a criminologist, the tougher the rhetoric, quite often the opposite desired outcome when it comes to crime and crime management. Mel Stride, although he's a less prominent character within the running here, and he's also on that maybe weaker end of the populist scale for what they for populist rhetoric and what have you. Stride has nevertheless supported conservative, quite stringent austerity economic policies and welfare reforms that have damaged hundreds of thousands of people's livelihoods, which emphasise reducing dependency on state welfare. And then Tom Duggan, we decided on Tom, didn't we? So we're going to stick with Tom. Tom, whatever his bloody second name is, or however his bloody second name is pronounced, has proposed reconsidering the UK's commitment to the European Convention of Human Rights. And for me, I don't think he's one of the favourites, but for me that puts him at the tippy top of most dangerous. So his proposal to reconsider the UK's commitment to the European Convention of Human Rights is a stance that appeals very much to really unbeknown right-wing populists who prioritise so-called national sovereignty over international obligations, and the unbeknown part really lies upon their inability to comprehend that a weakening of the rights of, immigrants is a weakening of their rights and everybody else's as well. So, a little bit of consideration given whenever we start talking about withdrawals from human rights treaties. But look, these candidates, they're going to campaign and present their arguments and build their platforms to the Conservative Party membership. With the process, I believe, coming to a head sometime around November. This is going to be a bit of a lengthy process. We've seen this a couple of times before during the 14 years in charge, and it tends to go through several votes. It's a bit of a long-winded process. It's probably going to receive a bit less coverage maybe than what it did last time round, because, well, they are now the opposition. Still the biggest opposition party, of course, but they're madly down in terms of seats. So keep your eye out if you are at all interested. Of course, there is a need for a strong opposition. I'm not a Labour voter, or at least I wasn't in the most recent general election, but nevertheless, every government needs, or rather every democracy needs a good opposition, and that's where the importance for us comes in, is that we're not going to be conservative. Well, I'm not a conservative voter either. And many of us probably aren't, but we still need a good opposition. Even if you are a Labour voter, a good opposition to hold them to account, it is a necessity, and that is where we need to look for the Conservatives to be able to provide that. And at the minute, I don't see a good opposition coming out of any of these candidates. But what do you think? Let me know, as always, in the comment section below, and I will see you guys again soon.